Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. I have combined all the videos in our responsive homepage design tutorial series into this single long video so that it is easy for you to follow. And we are basically going to create this homepage right here with this full screen video background. And we're going to create this from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And then in the end, I will also show you how to add this to your Blogger website as the homepage. And I will also leave the link of the source code in the description of this video, so you can go ahead and copy and paste the code to your website. Alright, so let's get started. In this video, we will start designing this homepage with this full screen video background. And we also have some hover effects over here. So for the button, we have this hover effect where the background color changes. And we also have hover effects for these menu items over here. We can see we have these underlines over here. And this is also responsive, so if I decrease the width of the screen, we can see that we have this menu button over here, and if I click on that, we have the menu displayed over here, and if I click on this close button, the menu goes back. So this is what we're going to start designing in this video. Now in this video, we will write the HTML of this design, and from the next video, we will write the CSS and we will make it look like this. So let's get started. Alright, I have created this folder called full screen video BG over here, and I have this folder called videos, and in that we have this mp4 file, and we're going to use this as the background of our website. Now let's start by creating the necessary files. So let's create a new file, and I'll just name it index.html. And we also need to have a CSS file. Let's name it style.css. And we'll also create a JavaScript file. Let's call it main.js. Alright, let's start with the index.html file, and in VS Code you have the shortcut where you can just press exclamation and press tab, and you will have this basic HTML5 code. Alright, let's link our CSS file over here, so I'll just type link, and here in the href I'll just type style.css, and in the body I'll just add the link of the JavaScript file, so I'll just create a script tag over here, and in the src I'll just type main.js. Alright, now the next thing we will do is we will get the link of these fonts, so we need to have two fonts over here. So let's go to fonts.google.com. Alright, here I'm in fonts.google.com. So let's search for the fonts that we want. The first font is Roboto. So we have the font right here. I'll just click on the font. And we need to select a style from here. So let's select regular 400. And I think we need to have just one style. Alright, now let's search for the next font. So the font that we need is called Sacramento. And here we have the font, so let's select the font and let's select this style. Right now let's click on this button called view your selected families, and here we have the two fonts selected. Now let's copy this link and let's paste it inside the HTML. So we need to paste it inside the head tag, so I'll just paste it over here. And we also need to add the link of Font Awesome. So for these icons over here, we are using Font Awesome. So let's get the CDN of Font Awesome. So you can just search for Font Awesome CDN, and you can find the link of cdnjs.com. So let's go to the website and let's copy this link. Let's copy the link of all.min.css. So let's click on this button called copy link tag, and let's go back to our HTML and let's paste it over here. And here for the title, I'll just type welcome. Alright, now let's start with the markup of our design. So the first thing we will do is we'll create a container division. So we'll give a class of main container. Now the first thing we will add over here is the video. So let's create a video tag, and in that we'll create a source tag. Now in the source tag we will add an attribute called src, and here we'll add the link of the video. So I'll just type videos/bg.mp4. And we also need to add the type of the video over here. So let's type type equals, and we'll just type video/mp4. Right now let's open this in our browser. So I have this extension called Live Server installed in VS Code. Now once you install that, you can just right click over here in the HTML and click on Open with Live Server. Right now we can see our design is displayed over here in the browser, and we have the video thumbnail displayed over here, but the video is not being played. So for that we have to add some attributes to the video tag. So let's go back, and here for the video tag let's add an attribute called autoplay, And we'll also add an attribute called loop so that when the video ends, it starts again. And we'll also add an attribute called muted, so that even if the video has some audio, it will be muted. Right now, let's go back to our website, and here we can see that our video is being played. So everything is working all right. Let's go back and let's add the other elements that we need. The next element that we need is an overlay. So here we can see we have this dark overlay for the video. So the video is not being displayed as bright as here. So for that, let's add a division. And for the division, I'll just give it a class of BG overlay. And that's it with the division. We will style it using CSS. If we go back to our design, we won't see any difference over here because we haven't styled it. Right now, the next thing we will add is the nav bar. So if we go back to our original design, we can see we have this logo over here on the left and we have the menu items over here on the right. So let's create a nav element. And in that we will have a division with the class of logo for the logo. And for the logo, we'll create an anchor tag because when we click on the logo, we want the user to be taken to the home page. So I'll just tap hash over here. And for the logo, I'll just tap lb dot. And here we can see we have the logo. Right now, let's go ahead and add the menu items. So for that, we'll create an unordered list and we'll also give it a class of menu items. And in that, we will have list items. And we need to have these menu items over here. So we need to have home, blog, about, and contact. So let's add these over here. We'll add them inside anchor tags. And here I'll just type home. I'll just copy this list item and paste it 3 more times. And the next thing we need to have is blog. And then we need to have about. And then we need to have contact. Alright, that's it with the navigation menu. So we have the logo and the navigation menus. Now the next thing we will add is this heading. So for that, let's create a division and let's give it a class of hero section. Or we can also create a header. So I'll just type header and we'll give it a class of hero section. Now in the header, we need to have an h1. And here for the heading, I'll just type live blogger. And if you go back to our design, we can see we have the header over here. And the next thing we need to have is a paragraph. Now in the paragraph, we will just type learn web design for free. Now the next thing we will add is a button. So here we can see we have this button called watch demo. So for the button, I'll just create an anchor tag and we'll give it a class of btn. And here I'll just type watch demo. Right now, let's go back to our design and here we can see we have the heading, the paragraph, and the button. Right now, the next thing we will add are the social media icons. So for that, let's create a division outside the header. So let's create a division with the class of social. And in that, we will have anchor tags. And let's add the icons over here. So we will add the icons from fontawesome.com. So here I'm in fontawesome.com and we need to get the icons of Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram. So let's type Pinterest over here. And this is the icon that we need. So let's click on the icon. And this is the code for the icon. So let's click on this code to copy it. And let's go back to our HTML and paste it over here inside the anchor tag. And if you go back to our design, we can see we have the icon of Pinterest displayed over here. Now in the same way, let's add the icons of Facebook and Instagram. So let's copy this anchor tag and let's paste it down 2 more times. And the next one is Facebook and the last one is Instagram. So here we can see all the logos are displayed over here. Alright, that's it with all the elements of the desktop version. Now let's add the elements for the mobile version. So let's decrease the width of the screen. Now here you can see for the mobile version, we need to have this menu icon and we also need to have this close icon and also these menu items over here. So for that, let's go to the nav and here we can see inside the nav we have the logo and the menu items. And here after the UL, I'll just create a division with the class of menu button. And here we will add the menu icon. So we'll get the menu icon from a website called Hero Icons. So here I'll just search for menu. And here we can see we have a lot of icons. I'll just select this icon right here. So let's click on copy SVG and I'll just paste it over here. So this is our menu icon. If you go back to our design, here we can see we have the menu icon displayed over here. It is really huge right now, but we will style it using CSS later. And the next thing we need to have are these menu items and this close icon. So for that, let's create a division. So let's go outside the main container, and here we'll just create a division with the class of mobile menu items. And the first thing we will do is add the close icon. So let's create a division with the class of close icon or close button. And let's go back to heroicons.com, and I'll just search for close over here. And let's copy this SVG and let's paste it over here. Right now, let's add the menu items for the mobile version. So let's go outside this close button, and we can just copy and paste the same menu items from here. So I'll just copy this UL and let's paste it over here inside the mobile menu items. Right now, let's go back to our design, and here we can see we have the close icon and also the mobile menu items and also the menu icon. So everything is being displayed without any problems, and that's it with the HTML of our design. Right, here is our code. This is the HTML, and we have completed the HTML, and we have already linked our CSS file over here. So let's start with the CSS. So let's go to the style.css file, and first of all we will add some resetting styles. So I'll just select all the elements. So I'll just type asterisk, and for all the elements I'll just add a style of box sizing border box. Now what this line of code does is that it will include the padding in the height and the width of the element. So when we add a height and a width to an element, it will have the correct height and width. Right now, the next thing we will do is we will reset all the margins from the body. So I'll just type body, and I'll just type margin 0. So this will reset all the margins. Now the next thing we will do is we will hide all the elements of the mobile version. So this is the desktop version, and if I decrease the width of the screen, we can see that this is the mobile version. And in the mobile version we have this menu icon, and we also have this close icon and also these menu items over here. So we need to hide all of these from the desktop version. So if you go back to our design, and if you scroll down, here we can see this is the menu icon. So we need to hide this in the desktop version, and we also need to hide this close button and also these mobile menu items. So let's do that. Let's go back to our source code, and let's go to the HTML file. And if you scroll down here, we can see that inside the main container division we have this nav, and in the nav we have this menu button division. So we need to hide this. So here I'll just type hidden items. I'll just add this comment over here, and let's type main container nav, and we have the class of menu button, and here I'll just type display of none. And now let's go back to our design, and now we can see that the menu button is not being displayed over here. Let's also hide this close button and also these menu items. So if you go back to our HTML, we can see that if you scroll down, we have this division with the class of menu items, and before that we have this division with the class of mobile menu items. So in that we have the close button and also these menu items. So let's hide this mobile menu items division. So let's go back to our style.css file, and here I'll just add a comma, and let's type mobile menu items. Right now let's go back to our design, and here we can see all the mobile elements are hidden. Right now let's start with the styling of this desktop version. The first thing we will do is we will style the video. So if you go back to our index.html file, here we can see we have this video element inside the main container. So let's select this. So here I'll just type main container video, and we'll set the position to fixed so that it will always be at a fixed position, and we'll set the top position to 0 and the left position to 0, and we'll also set the width to 100%. And let's go back, and now we can see we have this video, and it has a width of 100% of the screen, and everything is looking alright. Now the next thing we will do is we will add the video overlay. So if you go back to our original design, we can see that we have this dark overlay over this video. So if you go back to the HTML file, here we can see we have created this division with the class of BG overlay. So let's style this. Here I'll just type main container BG overlay, and even for this we will set a position of fixed, and we'll set the top position to 0 and the left position to 0, and we'll set the height to 100 viewport height and the width to 100%. And let's set a background color of black, and here we will add an opacity, so I'll just type opacity and let's set it to 0.8. Let's go back, and now we can see we have this dark overlay over this video. Right now let's style the other elements in our website. Right now the next thing we will do is style this nav bar. So let's go back to our HTML file, and here we can see we have this nav element. So let's style this. So it is inside the main container division. So here I'll just type main container nav, and we'll set a position of fixed so that it will always stay at the same position. And we will set the top value to 0 and the left value to 0 and the right value to 0 so that it will be in the center. And we will set a max width of 1000 pixels. Let's also set the display to flex and align items to the center, and justify content to space between so that we have some space between the elements. And here we can see we have the logo and the menu items displayed over here. We'll also bring it to the center, so I'll just type margin 0 for top and bottom and auto for left and right. Alright, let's add a background color, and let's see what is the width and the height. And we will add some padding as well. So let's type padding, and we'll set the padding to 24 pixels top and bottom and 32 pixels left and right. Right now let's style the logo. So the logo is inside this logo division, and in that we have this anchor tag. So here I'll just type main container nav logo A, and let's remove the underline by typing text decoration to none, and we'll set the color of the text to white, and we'll set the font size to 24 pixels, and we'll set the font family to Roboto sans serif. And here we can see we have the logo styled. Let's also remove the background color. We'll just remove the font family line from here, and we will add it to the main container so that we have the font family in all the elements. So here I'll just type main container, and let's type font family, or let's paste it over here. Right now we have the font family Roboto in all the elements. Right now let's style this unordered list. So if you go back to our HTML, here we can see we have this UL inside this nav. So let's style this. So here I'll just type main container nav UL, and the first thing we need to do is we need to place all these elements one next to the other. So for that, let's set the display to flex, and we will have a gap of 40 pixels between each of the elements, and we will also remove the bullets. So let's type list style and set it to none, and we'll also remove the default margin and padding of the unordered list. So I'll just type padding 0 and margin 0. Right now let's style the anchor tags. So let's type main container nav ULA, and first of all let's remove the underlines. So let's type text decoration and set it to none, and let's also set the color of the text to white, and we'll set the font size to 15 pixels, and we'll set the text transform to uppercase. Alright, now the next thing we will do is style these elements over here. So these are inside a header. So if you scroll down, here we can see we have this header, and we have this class of hero section, and in that we have this h1, the paragraph, and the button. So let's style this header. So here I'll just type main container hero section, and right now we cannot see the hero section over here because it is below this video. So what we have to do is we have to set a z index of some lower value for this video, and we have to set a higher z index for these elements over here. So here for the hero section, I'll just type z index, and let's set the z index to, let's say, 2. And for the video, which is this selector over here, I'll just type z index of 0, and we cannot see the hero section yet. So that's because we have added a position of fixed over here, and for the other element also we need to add some position. So let's set a position of relative, and now we can see that the hero section is displayed over here. Let's bring it to the center. So I'll just select the container division, which is the main container division. So here I'll just type height of 100 viewport height and width of 100%. and we'll also add a max width of 1000 pixels, and let's set a display of flex and align items to the center. And now here we can see all the elements are in the center. We'll also bring the main container to the center. So here I'll just type margin 0 for top and bottom and auto for left and right. And let's also add a padding of 32 pixels. And now we can see we have the elements in the correct position. Right now let's set the color of all the text to white. Right now the next thing we will do is we will add a backup color. So here if you go ahead and provide an incorrect value over here, if you go back, now we can see that the video is not being displayed. So when we don't have the video, we need to have a dark color over here as the background. So let's go back and let's go to the body, and here we will add a background color of black by default, and now we can see it looks alright. So let's go back and let's enter the correct URL over here, and now we have the video over here. Right now the next thing we will do is style the H1. So for the H1 we need to have a different font. So let's go back and let's add the styles over here. So the H1 is inside the main container, in that we have this hero section, and in that we have the H1. So let's type main container hero section H1, and we'll set the font family to Sacramento and cursive, and we'll also set the font size to 90 pixels. So this is our heading. Now the next thing we will do is style the paragraph. So we have this p tag over here inside the hero section. So here I'll just type main container hero section p, and we will set a font size of 20 pixels. And for the heading we will just remove the margin. So here for the H1 I'll just type margin 0, and let's also add some negative margin to this paragraph so that it is at the top over here. So for the paragraph I'll just type margin top, and let's set it to negative 24 pixels, and I think that looks alright. Right now let's style the button. So for the button we have this red background color. So we have this anchor tag as the button. So if we go back to our HTML file, here we can see we have this anchor tag with the class of btn. So let's style that. So here let's type main container hero section a.btn. First of all, let's set the display to inline block so that the margin and the padding and all of those things are applied correctly, because anchor tags are by default inline. Alright, the next thing we will do is remove the underlines. So I'll just tap text decoration to none, and let's set the color of the text to white, and let's set the background color to D62828, and let's also add some padding. We will add a padding of 10 pixels top and bottom and 32 pixels left and right, and let's also add some border left over here. So let's type border left, and we'll set it to 8 pixels solid F1 FAEE, and we'll also set the font size to 16 pixels, and let's set the text transform to uppercase. Alright, that's it with the button. Now the next thing we will style are these social media icons. So let's go back, and in the HTML here we can see we have this division with the class of social. So let's target that. So here let's type main container social. Now we'll position this social division relative to the main container. So for the main container I just have to set a position of relative. So here I'll just type position relative, and now let's scroll down, and here for the social I'll just type position absolute, and I'll just set the bottom position to 60 pixels and the left position to 0, and we'll also add a padding of 32 pixels. And let's go back to our design, and here we can see we have the social media icons in the correct position. Now let's style these anchor tags. So if you go back to our HTML, here we can see inside the social division we have these anchor tags, and in that we have the icons. Now here in place of this hash you can just add the links of your social media accounts. Alright, let's style these anchor tags. So here I'll just type main container social A, and the first thing we will do is we will remove the underlines. So I'll just type text decoration and set it to none, and we'll set the color of the anchor tags to white, and let's set the font size to 30 pixels, and we'll also add a margin of 0 for top and bottom and 16 pixels for left and right. And here we can see we have all the icons displayed over here. We'll just remove the margin left from the first icon. So here we have to type main container social a colon first child. This will select the first instance of the anchor tags. So here I'll just type margin left of 0. And now we can see everything looks alright. Alright, so that's basically it with the design of the desktop version, and everything looks alright. Now in this video we will design the mobile version. So here in the original design we can see that if we decrease the width of the screen, this is how the mobile version looks. So in the mobile version we want to decrease the font size of this heading and also this paragraph. And we need to remove the menu items from here, and we need to add this menu button. And when we click on this menu button, we want to have these menu items displayed over here. And then here we have this close button, and if I click on that, the menu items are hidden. So this is what we're going to design in this video. Let's get started. So here we can see this is the CSS of our design, and this is our progress as of now. So the first thing we need to do is we need to hide these menu items. First of all, let me just disable this video playback. So I'll just in the video tag, I'll just remove this autoplay. We will add it later. So let's go back to our style.css file, and here we'll create a media query. So I'll just type at media, and let's set the max width to 600 pixels. So whenever the width of the screen is less than 600 pixels, whatever styles we have inside this block will be added to our design. So first of all, let's hide these menu items. So for that, if you go to the HTML, here we can see we have this UL with the class of menu items. So let's hide this. So here I'll just type main container nav menu items, and let's set the display to none. And now we can see that the menu items are not being displayed over here. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to display the menu button. So here we can see we have this menu button. So for the menu button, we have this division with the class of menu button. So let's target this. So here I'll just type main container nav menu button, and let's set the display to block. And let's add some more styles over here. So I'll just type width, and let's set the width to 30 pixels and the height to 30 pixels. And now we can see we have the menu button displayed over here. Now the next thing we will do is we will decrease the font size of this heading and also this paragraph. So let's type main container, and we have the heading inside the hero section. So here we can see we have this header with the class of hero section, and in that we have the h1. So let's type hero section h1, and let's set the font size to 60 pixels. And let's also decrease the font size of the paragraph. So let's type main container hero section p, and let's set the font size to 16 pixels. And let's add some more space between this paragraph and this heading. So let's tap margin top, and if you scroll up, we can see that for the paragraph we have set a margin top of negative 24 pixels. So let's bring it up a little bit. So I'll just type negative 6 pixels, and I think that looks alright. We'll also decrease the font size of this button. So let's type main container, and the button is also inside the hero section, and we have an anchor tag with the class of btn, and let's set the font size to 14 pixels, and I think that looks alright. Now the next thing we will do is style the menu items for the mobile device. So here we can see this is how it looks. So for that we have to first of all rotate and scale up this main container. So what we will do is we will add a class called active to the main container when we want to rotate it and show the menu items. So here let's type main container dot active. Now all the styles that we add over here will be added to our design when we have the active class for the main container. So here I'll just type transform translate x, and we'll set it to negative 190 pixels, and we'll also rotate it a little bit. So I'll just type rotate z, and we'll set the angle to negative 4 degrees, and we'll also scale it a little bit. So I'll just type scale, and I'll just set it to 1.1. Alright, now let's go back to our HTML file, and let's add the active class. So here in the main container, I'll just type active, and now we can see that the styles are applied to our main container. Alright, now let's style the menu items for the mobile device. So if you scroll down, here we can see we have this division with the class of mobile menu items. So let's style this. Let's go back to our style.css file, and here I'll just type mobile menu items, and let's set the position to fixed, and we'll also set the display to flex, and align items to the center so that all the elements will be in the center of the screen vertically. Right now let's set the height to 100 viewport height, and let's set the width to 190 pixels because that's how much we have moved this main container to the left. Here we can see translate x of negative 190 pixels, and let's set the right position to 0 and the top position to 0. And now we can see all the menu items are displayed over here. Let's also set a background color, so I just tap background, and let's set the color to 131212. Now here we can see that the mobile menu items are on top of the main container. So for that, let's go to the main container. So here we have the styles for the main container. Here we need to add a z index, so just tap z index, and let's set it to 2. And now we can see that the main container is on top of the mobile menu items. Right now let's style the unordered list inside the mobile menu items. So if you go back to the HTML, here we can see inside the mobile menu items we have this UL, and we have these menu items over here. So let's style this. Here I'll just type mobile menu items UL, and let's remove the bullets. So I'll just type list style, and let's set it to none. And we'll also set a padding left of 60 pixels. Right now let's style all these anchor tags. So for that, let's type mobile menu items ULA, and let's remove the underlines by typing text decoration to none, and let's set the color of the text to white, and let's set the font family to Roboto and sans serif, and let's set the font size to 20 pixels, and we'll also add a margin of 16 pixels top and bottom and 0 for left and right. And the margin is not being applied because anchor tags are inline element by default, so we have to set the display to inline block. And now we can see that the margin is being applied. Now the last thing we need to have over here is the close button. So here we can see we have the close button at the top right. So if you go back to our index.html file, here we can see we have this division with the class of close button. So let's target this. Here I'll just type mobile menu items close button, and let's set the position to fixed, and we will set the width to 32 pixels and the height to 32 pixels, and we'll set the top position to 24 pixels and the right position to 32 pixels, and we'll also set the color to white. And here we can see we have the close button, so everything is being displayed correctly. Let's go back to our HTML file, and let's remove the active class. Here we can see we have this active class, so let's remove this. And now we can see that the position of the main container has reset, but we can see that these menu items are displayed over here. So for that, let's go back to our style.css file, and here in the main container let's add a background color. So I'll just type background, and let's set it to black, and now everything looks alright. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to display the menu items when we click on this menu button, and we need to hide them when we click on the close button. So we will do that using JavaScript. But before that, let's go ahead and add a transition over here in the main container so that we will have a smooth transition between the animation. Right now let's start with the JavaScript. So in the HTML we can see that we have already linked our JavaScript file over here. Now we need to reference 3 things from this HTML into our JavaScript. So we need to reference the close button, and we need to reference the menu button over here, and also this main container. So let's go to our main.js file, and let's type const menu button equals document.querySelector, and here we'll just type main container nav menu button. Right now let's reference the close button, so let's type const close button equals document.querySelector, and it is inside mobile menu items close button. Now let's reference the main container, so let's type const main container equals document.querySelector main container. Alright, now let's add an event listener to this menu button. So let's type menu button dot add event listener, and let's listen for the click event, and let's create an arrow function over here. And here we need to add the active class to the main container. So let's type main container dot class list dot add, and here we'll just type active. Alright, now let's add an event listener to the close button. So let's type close button dot add event listener, and here we'll just type click, and let's create an arrow function over here. And here we need to remove the active class from the main container. So let's type main container dot class list dot remove active, and now let's see whether it works. So let's click on this menu button, and we can see that the mobile menu items are displayed over here. And let's click on this close button, and they are hidden. Now when we click on this menu button, we also want to hide this menu button from here. So for that, let's go back to our style.css file, and here in the media query, here we'll just type main container dot active, and then we'll type nav menu button, and we'll just set the opacity to 0, and we'll also add a smooth transition for this animation. So let's scroll up, and for the menu button, let's add a transition. So I'll just type transition of all to 400 milliseconds ease. Alright, now we can see that the menu button is not being displayed over here, and if I click on the close button, it is being displayed once again. So everything is working alright. So that's basically how you create a mobile version for this responsive homepage. Now in this video, we're going to add some hover effects for these elements. So here we can see for the button, we have this hover effect, and even for these menu items, we have these hover effects. We can see that we have these underlines, and we'll also add animation to these elements when the page loads. So if I refresh this page, we can see that we have this animation for all these elements. So these are the things that we're going to do in this video. Let's get started. Alright, this is our progress as of now, and I have disabled the autoplay for now for this video. Alright, so let's start with the hover effect for this button. So let's go to the source code, and here we can see for the button we have this anchor tag with the class of btn. So let's go to our style.css file, and let's scroll up, and let's find the selector for the button. So here we can see this is the selector of the button. So here I'll just type main container hero section a.btn hover, and when we hover over the button, we'll just change the background color. So let's type background, and I'll just change the color to A11B1B, and we'll also add a smooth transition. So here I'll just type transition, and let's set it to all 400 milliseconds ease. Alright, now let's go back, and now if we hover over this button, we can see that we have this hover effect. Alright, now let's add the hover effects to these menu items over here. So if we go back to our original design, we can see that we have these underlines over here for these menu items. So for that, we're going to use the after selector in CSS. So let's go back to our CSS. Let's find the selector for the menu items. So I think it is right here. So here we can see we have this anchor tag. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an after selector for this anchor tag. So here we can just type main container nav ula after, and after selectors are basically used to add extra data to the elements. So here if I just type content, and if I just type 1 2 3, and now if you go back to our design, we can see that we have 1 2 3 written after all these menu items. So we don't want to have 1 2 3 written, so let's go back and let's remove this 1 2 3. Now we need to have an underline. Now we need to position this underline relative to this anchor tags. So here for the anchor tag, let's type position relative, and here in the after selector, I'll just type position absolute, and let's set the left position to 0 and the bottom position to -4, and let's set the width of the element to 100%, and let's set the height of the element to 1 pixel, and let's set the background color to white. Right, now let's go back to our design, and here we can see we have underlines for all these menu items. Now we don't want to have these underlines by default. We'll just have the underlines when we hover over these menu items. So let's go back, and here I just set the width to 0% by default, and let's add a hover effect over here. So let's type main container nav ul a:hover: after, and here we need to set the width to 100%, and we'll also add a smooth transition. So here I'll just type transition, and let's set it to all 400 milliseconds ease. Alright, now let's go back to our design, and let's hover over these menu items, and we can see we have the hover effect working alright. So that's it with the hover effects for these elements. Now the next thing we will do is we will add animation for all these elements when the page loads. So if you go back to the original design and if I refresh this page, we can see we have these animations for all these elements. So let's add them. First of all, let's add the animation to this heading. So let's go back to our CSS and let's find the selector for the heading. So I think it's right here. So this is the heading. So let's go ahead and type animation, and we're going to create an animation called fade in, and let's set the duration of the animation to 1000 milliseconds, and we will set the transition curve to ease in out. By default, we will set the position of this element to 15 pixels below the default position. So let's type transform, translate y, and let's set it to 15 pixels, and by default we'll also set the opacity to 0. Alright, now let's create this fade in animation. So for that we have to type at keyframes, and for the identifier I'll just type fade in. In the first frame we have the opacity set to 0 and the transform translate set to 15 pixels. Now here we need to add the last frame, so we can just type 100% over here, or we can just type 2 for the last frame. And here we'll just set the opacity back to 1, and we'll also set the transform translate. So let's type transform translate y and set it back to 0. Alright, now let's go back to our design and let's refresh this page. And we can see that we have the animation for the heading, but after the animation it just vanishes and it goes back to the first frame. So for that we have to go back to our CSS, and here we need to add a property called forwards. Right, now let's go back to our design and let's refresh this page, and here we can see we have the animation for the heading. Right, now let's add the animation to this paragraph and also this button. So let's go back to the CSS, and I'll just copy this line of code of the animation, and let's scroll down and let's paste it over here for the paragraph. And here also we need to set the opacity and the transition. So let's go back over here and let's copy these two lines of code, and let's paste them over here. And the next thing we need to do is we need to add a delay for the animation of the paragraph. So here we need to type animation delay, and let's set the delay to 400 milliseconds. Right, now let's go back to our design and let's refresh this page, and here we can see we have the correct animation for both these elements. Let's also add the animation for the button. So let's go back to our CSS. Now for the animation of the button, we'll just keep the button at the same position. So I'll just copy these 3 lines of code, and let's paste it over here in the button. And for the button, I'll just set the animation delay to 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So let's go back to our design and let's refresh this page. And we can see we have the correct animation for all the 3 elements. Alright, now let's add the animation to this nav bar. So let's go back to our CSS, and I'll just copy these 3 lines of code from here, and let's go to the selector of the nav bar. So this is the selector for the nav bar, so I'll just paste the 3 lines of code over here. Now while we are still here, let's also add the animation to the social division. So let's scroll down, and here's the social division. So I'll just paste the 3 lines of code over here. And for the social division, I'll just set the duration of the animation to 500 milliseconds and the animation delay to 2000 milliseconds. Right, now let's go back to our design and let's refresh this page. And we can see we have the animation for all the elements in our web page. Right, now let's go back to our HTML and let me just add the autoplay for the video. So here I'll just type autoplay. Right, now let's go back to our design and we can see everything is working alright. Let's hover over these elements and we have the hover effects working alright. Let's refresh this page and we have all the animations working alright. So that's basically how you add animation and hover effects to the elements in your web page. In this video, I'll show you how to add this design as the homepage of your Blogger website. Right here, I'm in the dashboard of my Blogger website and I'm using this theme called Contempo Lite. It comes by default with Blogger over here. Now, if you're using a different theme, you can use the same method that I used in this video to customize that theme. And you just need to select different classes based on the theme. Right, the first thing we need to do is we need to set a custom page as a home page. So right now, if we click on View Blog, we can see this is the home page of our website. Now we want to have a custom home page. So for that, let's go back to our dashboard and let's click on pages and let's create a new page. So let's click on new page. I'll just give it a title of home and let's type something over here. I'll just type testing and let's click on publish and confirm. Right now, if you click on this view button, we can see this is how the page looks right now. So we want to have this page as the home page of our website. So let's copy this URL from here and let's go back to our dashboard and let's go to settings and let's scroll down and find an option called custom redirects. So let's click on this and here you can click on add, and for from I'll just type / because this is the home page, and here for to we have to paste the link of our home page. So let's paste the link over here, and we don't need to paste the whole link, we just need to paste from /p /home3.html. so I'll just cut everything from here and let's click on permanent and OK, and let's click on save. And now here we can see we have one custom redirect. So let's click on this and let's click on it once more, and here we have 2 /, so I'll just delete one of them. Alright, let's click on OK and save. Let's click on it once more and everything looks alright. Right now let's go to the home page. So let's delete this from here and let's press enter. And here we can see we are redirected to the custom home page that we created. So now whenever someone goes to the home page of our website, they'll be redirected to this custom home page that we just created. Right now the next thing we need to do is we need to change the design of this home page and make it look like this. So the first thing we will do is we will remove all the unnecessary elements from here. So first of all, let's remove this popular post widget from here. So let's right click over here and click on inspect. So here we can see we have this division with the class of popular posts. So let's click on this, and here is the selector of this element. And here if I just type display none, now we can see that the popular post widget is not being displayed. So let's copy this selector and let's go back to our page. So let's go to pages and click on this page, and here we'll just create a style tag, and in this style tag we will add all the CSS. So let's paste the selector over here, and here I'll just type display and set it to none. And now if I update this and if I go back to the page and if I refresh this page, now we can see that the popular post widget is not being displayed over here. In the same way, let's hide all the other elements. So we need to hide all these elements except testing. So the next thing we will hide is this footer. So let's right click over here and click on inspect, and this is the footer. So here we can see we have the selector of the footer. So let's copy this, and here also I'll just type display of none so that we can see it over here live. So I'll just type display of none, and now we can see that the footer is not being displayed. So let's copy this selector and let's paste it over here inside this page. So here I'll just add a comma and I'll just paste it over here. Now I'm not going to update this page every time and test it over here. We'll just assume that it is working. So let's go ahead and hide the next element. Let's hide this comment. So I'll just right click over here and click on inspect, and let's scroll up and let's go to the parent division. So here we have the parent division. We have a section with a class of comments, and we also have an ID of comments. So let's get the selector. Here we have the selector comments. So I'll just type display of none, and now we can see that the comments are hidden. So let's copy this selector and let's paste it over here. I'll just add a comma and paste it over here. Alright, now the next thing we will do is hide this header. So let's right click over here and click on inspect, and let's scroll up, and so here we can see we have this header with the class of centered top container. So let's copy this class. Let's go back to our page and let's paste it over here. So I'll just type header, and we have a class of centered top container, and we'll also hide this element over here in the inspector. So here I'll just type display of none. Right now the next thing we will hide is this title. So let's scroll down and let's see what is the selector for the title. Let's just right click over here and inspect. So here we can see we have this S3 with the class of post title. So let's copy this class from here, or we can just copy this selector. So I'll just copy this and here also I'll just type display of none. And let's go back to the page, and I'll just paste it over here. I'll just add a comma and paste the selector. Alright, now let's go back to our page, and let's hide this share button. So let's right click over here and inspect. So let's scroll up and find the parent division. So it is this division with the class of post share buttons. So I'll just type display of none over here, and we can see that the button has been hidden. So let's copy this selector and let's paste it over here. Right, now let's go back and let's hide this background image. So let's right click over here and click on inspect, and here we can see we have BG photo container and BG photo overlay. So let's hide both of these. So let's copy this selector and let's paste it over here, and let's add a comma, and the next selector that we had was BG photo overlay. So I'll just type overlay over here. Right, now let's update this, and let's go back to our home page and let's see whether everything looks alright. So let's refresh this page, and here we can see everything looks alright. We don't have any other elements beside this text. Right, now the next thing we need to do is we need to remove the padding and the margin of all the elements. So let's right click over here and click on inspect. And first of all, here we can see we have this margin for post body. So here we can see we have a margin of 1.5 m and 2. So we have to set the margin to 0. So I'll just type margin 0 over here, and now we can see that the margin has been removed. So let's copy this selector and let's go back and paste it over here, and here I'll just type margin 0. Let's go back to our home page and let's go to the inspector, and let's find some other elements. So let's start with the post outer container, and here we can see we have some padding for the post outer container. We can see the green border around the element. So let's scroll down, and here we can see we have a padding of 30 and 40 pixels. So we have to set the padding to 0. Right, now let's copy this selector and let's paste it over here in the page. We have to create a new block over here because this is for the padding. So just have padding 0. Right, let's go back to the inspector. Right, now let's go to the next element, and for the post outer, here we can see we have some padding bottom. So here we can see we have a padding bottom of 0.25 m. So here also we have to type padding 0, and let's copy this selector and let's paste it over here. So we have removed the padding, so I'll just paste it over here. Alright, let's go back. Right, now let's scroll up and find the other elements. First of all, here we can see for this division with the class of centered, we have a padding top. Here we can see we have a padding of 24 pixels for the top and 24 pixels for the bottom, and we also have a max width of 922 pixels. So we have to reset these two properties. So let's set the padding to 0, and we'll also set the max width to 100%. So let's copy this selector and let's go back to our page, and we had removed the padding, so I'll just add it over here. And we also need to set the max width to 100%, so I'll just paste it over here as well, and here I'll just type max width of 100%. Alright, now the next element that we have over here is this main with a class of centered bottom, and here we can see we have a padding of 0.16 pixels for centered bottom. So I'll just type padding 0 over here, and let's also copy this selector and let's go back to our page and let's paste it over here. Right, now let's scroll down, and the next thing we have over here is this widget. So we have this division with the class of widget, and here we can see it has a margin bottom of 16 pixels, so we have to set the margin to 0. So let's copy this selector and paste it over here for the margin. Right, now let's go back and let's see what else we have. And I think that's it with all the elements. So let's go ahead and add our design to this page now. So let's go back to our page, and here we will add the CSS of our design. So let's go to the source code of our design, and I will leave the link of the source code in the description. So first of all, let's copy this CSS. So I'll just copy everything from here, and let's paste it inside the page. So I'll just paste it over here. Right, now the next thing we will do is add the HTML. So I'll just make some space over here, and I'll just remove this text from here. And let's go back to our source code. Let's go to the HTML file, and first of all we need to copy the link of Font Awesome and the fonts that we use. So let's copy all of this from here. So this is inside the head section. So let's copy all of this and paste it over here. And now let's go back, and I'll just copy everything inside the body. So let's copy everything from the start of this division all the way to the end. So copy it till here, and let's paste it over here inside the page. And we also need to add the JavaScript. So I'll just create a script tag over here, and here in the script tag we will add the JavaScript. So let's go back to our source code, and let's go to the main.js file, and I'll just copy everything from here and paste it over here. Now you can change this text to whatever you want. So these are the menu items. You can change them to whatever you want over here in place of home, blog, about, and contact. And you can just add the link of your page over here. So here in place of this hash, you can just add the link of the about page. So in this way you can customize this page to your needs. And then here we can see we have these icons for Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. You can change these to whatever you want. These are Font Awesome icons, and this is the main text. So here we can see we have this heading and this paragraph and this button. You can change them to whatever you want. And then if you scroll up, we can see that we have the video. So this is the background video that we see over here. So you can change the video to whatever you want. Now in Blogger, you can upload a video by clicking on this insert video button and uploading from your computer. But when you do this, you don't get the link of the video. So here we can see we want to have the link of the video. So what we will do is we will upload the video inside a service called Cloudinary. So you can go to this website called cloudinary.com and just create a free account, and then just log in and go to media library. And here we can see we have these two sample images, and we have a lot of options over here, but the main option that we want is this option called copy URL. So it is also right here. So let's upload our video into Cloudinary. Let's click on upload and browse, and this is our video. So let's click on this video and click on open. And here we can see our video has been uploaded. So let's click on this button to copy the URL, and let's go back to our page, and let's paste the URL over here in place of this videos/bgmp4. Right now let's click on update, and let's go back to the page, and let's refresh this page. And here we can see that the design is being displayed over here, but we have some problems in the heading and the paragraph. So let's right click over here, and let's see what's the problem. Let's inspect, and if we scroll down, we can see here we have a line height of 1.6 m for post body. So we have to remove the line height. So let's copy this selector, and let's go back to our page, and here in the CSS I'll just type page body line height, and let's set it to unset. Right now let's update this, and let's go back to our home page, and let's refresh this page. And now we can see everything looks alright. We don't have any problems. Let's also open the mobile version. So let's reduce the screen width, and here we can see we have some problems. So let's right click over here and inspect, and here we can see we have some styling for this media query of max width 800. So let's copy this selector from here, because here we can see we have this padding, so we have to remove this padding. So let's copy this selector, and let's go back to our post, and I'll just paste it over here for the padding. Right now let's click on update, and let's go back to our home page, and let's refresh this page. And now we can see we don't have any problems, and let's click on this menu button, and we have the menu displayed over here, and let's click on this close button, and everything is working alright. So that's basically how you add a custom homepage to your Blogger website. Alright, that's it for this video. I will leave the link of the source code in the description of this video, and if you have any doubts you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.